Hello friends, today I want to show you how you can work with the CSS selectors in order to find elements in Selenium. Okay, for this purpose I have already set up for before. Before is going to launch me the yahoo.com, and I have after, so whenever my test is completed it is going to trigger after, and then it will close my browser. So I'm going to write, I have a method here for test my mail. I'm going to write the steps here so that it could do what I want to do. Okay, so first of all, this is only for CSS, so I'm trying to focus more into CSS and make more specific scenarios. So first of all, let me show you what the CSS means and how you would write CSS. So if you see here, there are different options. Okay, all different options with the CSS is ID. If you have an ID, you just write driver.findElement by CSS selectors with the tag name, whatever tag name it is, and then you give the ID, and then ID of the field, that is the value in the single quote, and then you close this out. So that is the syntax for IDs. You could do the same thing with the different options with this short key. It's a pound sign. Then you don't need to give anything, directly it will access this field. Okay, but that will be inside this double quote CSS selector ID. These are the same. Next thing is with the name. If you want to find with the name, you do same thing, tag name equals single quote. Okay, class name also have a short key called dot. If you have a class name, you would just do the CSS selector and then dot, and then whatever name of that class name that is, right? Or you could do tag name class equals, then give the class name field. Let's go to conditional look. So when you have more conditions you want to match, then you have to do this way. So if you have something called CSS selector with the tag name, with the class is this, and ID is this, right? So then you can give more elements, more different conditions. So with the start with, there's another thing that usually this one would work for the dynamic elements. Dynamic elements, you will do CSS selector tag name, right? In the class, this guy means the starts with. Okay, that's the short key for starts with, equals, those are attached, and then you give the prefix value. Okay, so just the prefix value. So let's say you have a value called ABC button, and then you say maybe these are something like the ID you would see, right, or the class name you might see, and these are variable. This will change every time you launch the new browser. This value gets changed. Those are dynamically created. That's why those are called dynamic element. But there are certain things, those are fixed. Okay, in some instances there may be the prefix are same, and then this remains changing, so it could go either direction. Okay, if you have your element that starts with part is the static, which does not change, then use this one. It starts with class name equals. Similarly, if you have something that ends with, then you use the dollar sign. Okay, dollar sign is going to take the last part, so that should end up with the same like a fixed value. Okay, and there's one more thing called contains. If you want to, if you're not sure whatever here, it's fine, whichever order, but then just want to get the ABC button, so those are fixed value, right? So those are, you can just take as a contains, give the tag name, class contains class is the attribute, it could be ID or name or whatever value you want. Star is what it means, contains, and then you give whatever the value is. Okay, single quote. So these are the things. I'm going to put this piece in the description also, so that you can get that reference. So here let's go with some practical exercise. So here I want to go into yahoo.com, and I want to go to, once the Yahoo launches, and I will click here this mail link, and I'll come here and I'll fill in my values, and then I'll continue. Okay, let's do that exercise. So once I get there, I'm going to do something called CSS Selector. Let's go to find out what that is. So let's go here back again. Okay, you could do F12, or you could right click and inspect. It's the same thing. Okay, so I need to find this mail, so let's go there. Looks like I clicked there. So I got this icon. So this is a class. Okay, and then I go one more up, so that is going to give me that whole link. So I'm going to pick up this link. Okay, that is the ID. You see that is highlighted. Now let's go there when I find it. So this is the CSS selector, and that is A. It's a tag is A. Okay, and I have this ID equals, and then bracket close dot click. Okay, I could use same thing with this way. Instead of writing this whole thing, I would just write pound sign, and I can now remove this whole thing. Either one is same. Okay, don't get confused. Either one is same. You could put tag name and then put the attributes and then that value, or just pound sign, just single line. Those are all selectors, CSS selector. Now once I click there, I want to go here. I clicked here, and I'll write the steps to go into login. And here I'll click here again, make it blue. It's blue. Now come here and then click. So here you have a login username. It's an ID. So there's much similar or much easier, right? So if it's an input tag. Okay, it's an input tag. So I need to go here. ID equals that, and because we're focusing into CSS selector, that's why we're putting everything into CSS. Even though we have ID, we could just simply say find element by ID and give that ID, because I want to show you how you would do if it was a CSS selector. Okay, so because it's an input field, I have to send something. So just send keys dummy user thing something, right? Just dummy user thing. That may be my username. Okay, and then what I would do, dummy user thing for TST, let's say. Now let's do one thing. Next thing, I'm going to keep that thing reserved. So now after entering the username, what happens? There's no password field. Okay, you do that, let's say like that, and then you click next button, right? So you need to click here again, blue, and then go there. Let's roll this in. So that is, you have login, sign in. Okay, that is the input. Again, it's a ID. So what I would do, that's a login name, my driver dot find element by dot CSS selector. Now I'm going to put different way. Okay, I'm going to put this pound sign and then value, that's all, dot click. It's a button, so I will click. Both are the same thing, both are input with the ID. This is also input with the ID. You would either do this or just simply put the pound sign, and that replaces this whole thing. Okay, same thing, these both are same thing, so I want to just use one here. All I do here, I enter the username and then I clicked. Okay, that's all I want to do. And we'll see if that will take me up to the next page. Unless that is a valid user, let's go ahead and assume that does. Let's write the code. So when I do next, okay, it does not recognize. So if it is invalid user, it won't even take you there, so forget about going there. Let's just click there and we validate this error message here. Okay, let's check the error. Blue. Okay, ID equals username error. Okay, or the class name, you have a row error. Let's take the class name this time. Okay, and if you want to do that, instead of that whole thing, CSS selector, if it is a class name, what do you do? Class name, you put dot, and then just class name. That's all you need. Dot get text, right? Just dot get text. Let's print that out. Let's make this better. Okay, error message equals this, right? That's the error message element. Now what I do is errorm dot get text. Okay, so that is going to give me the text of this value. Okay, let's run this out. Okay, starting. So I should see the error message here. Okay, okay. Okay, get into their email address. I enter something that I say dummy user test. Click there next, and then it close the browser. Okay, it should be green now. So looks like it failed. It says selector row error. Looks like it hasn't been defined correctly. Let's see what it is. Okay, so when I go there, it says I need to look at this class name. So class name is row space error. Okay, that's where the error is. We copied the whole thing. In the class name, you can get one thing before this space, so no space. I'm going to pick the error. Let's do that again. Refactor that piece. Remove that row, and all I need is error with the class name. The class name is dot. Okay, let's run this out now. Okay, let's run this. Run as JUnit. Okay, it is going to Yahoo. To go to Yahoo, that's what we had a message we wanted to print. Okay, so basically those could be the very validation that you want to enter if you are checking with invalid scenarios, right? So your scenarios passed, and that's how you would do the CSS piece. So if you want to do CSS, enter the tag name or ID and then so and so, right? And then there are multiple things you could use. Again, if there's a conditional that you have a same tag name, have multiple attributes you want to validate, or you want to do with the class name, you could do with the dot, or you could do the tag name and enter the class names field. If you want to do the tag name or the name, just tag name and then field. If you wanted to do ID, by CSS Selector, tag name ID, single quote, it's in single quote, and then or you could use simply the pound sign in order to take the shortcut. Okay, so this whole thing will replace with the pound key. This whole key replaces with the pound key as simple and then ID name field. That's it. Okay, just like this. So this line is being replaced with this thing. So that's how easy it is if you are if you get familiarized with those. And then same thing with the class name. So class name gets with the dot instead of pound key, or you could just do the simple way like this. And then if you want to go with the start with, if you have a dynamic elements you want to work with, get a class. So same thing, is like tag name, right? And then class, just do like this, right? Whatever attribute it is. It could be ID, and then you would just do this, and then you do equals, and then rest is the same. Instead of just doing I equals, you would just add this field here. Okay, that's the starts with. If you want to do with the end with, just put the $sign there. Okay, same thing. And then if you want to do contains, you would do just asterisk, and then it will just work. So try it out. There are so many things you could play along with, and CSS has been considered to be faster than XPaths. So these are considered to be better. If you have, or if you have no options, this is how you would do. Okay, and then you have this beautiful thing, ID, name, or class names. Just play with those. Okay, I hope this has been helpful for you, and please continue to watch my video and subscribe my channel, and don't forget to hit that like button. Thank you.